Thank you very much for coming to this Heila event. My guest speaker is Miss Kursty. Miss Kursty is a spiritual medium. Getting to know Kursty, she basically is emotion. She is emotion and feeling. She's a loving, caring mother energy. She's a delightful, she's challenging. And she's entertaining, and she's very comfortable to talk to. I've had a reading with her, and she's very, very accurate. Miss Kursty actually has more gifts than I'm even aware of for one person. I think it's hard to explain it all myself, but I've even been to the Spirituals Church. And there was a guest speaker, and she came in and gave Kursty a reading, and I'm like, okay, I recognize that. And she talked to her about her guide, one of her guides, and it was just really great confirmation for me because I don't see everything everyone does. Not everyone, but my guests, when they have a lot of talent and skill, but Miss Kursty has it all rolled into one, which is amazing. You can tell it more than I can. How exactly do you experience your gifts? You've been a medium clairvoyant all your life. You maybe explain how people that the difference between what a medium is, what a clairvoyant is, and everything that you do experience.
Wow, thank you. That was pretty awesome. Can we have that recorded somewhere so that I can? Thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate it. How do I experience my gifts? Well, I have a couple stories as a youth that I would like to share.
Yeah.
And I believe that clairvoyance is about seeing. It's the clear seeing. Mm-hmm. And that I think is, for a lot of us, is the start. But it doesn't have to be. There's clair hearing and clairsentience, which is feeling. And I think most of us do that. We feel for other people. We often feel their joy, their sadness, if it's our child or a friend. So that is part of clairsentience of feeling in my experience. So even at a youth, my uncle had polio and didn't walk anymore. He was in a wheelchair, and I remember sitting on his knee and we were talking, and I wanted to know what it was like. And I think within the next day, I was laying in bed and my legs didn't work anymore. And I crawled around, pulling myself around the floor, down my stairs. I slept in the attic. I must have been after 6, because my brother got married 50 years ago, so probably I was around 8. Anyways, that was clear feeling. And I went to the doctor, and of course they think you're hypochondriac and that there's something wrong, right, with your mental state. But learning later in life that is, I was feeling that. You often do that, feel for other people.
Yeah, I understand doing these interviews that some people have the gift, it's of being able to feel a hurt, physical hurt that other people have. Now you have, now this is kind of scary for me, but you take it in stride. It's when somebody overshadows, like just comes in and she channels and speaks for that person.
Right.
So that's just amazing.
Well, that
and courageous, by the way.
that is you're in an altered state. You become in an altered state, but that's a long time that before that happens. Yeah. Of course, when you're thinking. But I've had 3 clients recently where they actually felt they saw their loved one in front of me, and that is just myself being in an altered state and knowledge for that person to see their loved one. As far as I remember being a child and going to my first funeral for my dad's uncle Albert, and there was laying to rest. It was the first time to see a person that's laying to rest. And I looked over and I saw a gentleman standing with another tall gentleman, and I said to my dad, "Why are they over there?" And he said, "There's nobody there." And I was like, "Oh." So then after, of course, you go in and being a kid, and I think I was around 8, I look up and the gentleman is standing right there. That's laying to rest.
Yeah.
Looks the same, and I just am like, this, what do you do with that? I had a friend get called out of class, and everybody was saying that her father had passed away, but I was standing there as the teacher was pulling her out, and her father was standing right beside her, so I didn't understand that. I've had these all things happen when you're a kid. It just is. You're a seer. Is that, would you use that word? Seer.
Yes.
Yes. So that's how those experiences happened as a child. But when you pull, I recently sat with friends, and everybody's tummy was sore, and I said, if it's not yours, take it away. Because if you're feeling unwell and you don't feel it's your sickness, if you just say, "Thank you for letting me know, please take it away," and it goes, you know you've got some clairsentience that you're pulling somebody else's pain with them.
Yeah, and as a kid, you would have no idea how to do that. Like, you just listen to the doctor, right?
So you go to the doctor and you find out you have all the symptoms, but it's not wrong, but your coworker you've worked with has those exact symptoms, and you didn't know they were unwell, and all you were was in their energy. I believe you're a person who understands energy, correct? Am I saying the words correctly? Yes, thank you very much. So you go to doctors, and then over time, you're on medication, and then it goes to mental health. Because then you tell doctors that you see loops of energy. Does anybody know what loops of energy is?
Nope. Well, somebody might.
I don't. So in my experience of that, you've heard of people say that I don't like the word ghost, but they say that the man walks on flight number 13 in the
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Somebody help me with that. In the hotel, he was somebody, the janitor or the person that checks the rooms, and every day at 4:15, and so people are like, "Oh, we'll go," and at 4:15 you see him walk down the hallway. Well, it's not the spirit, it's a loop of energy. Anything that is repetitive, over and over and over, can get stuck, like a videotape.
Okay.
So it's not harmful, there's nothing wrong. So I was living in an apartment, and a woman, she would come right towards the bathroom. Like, I knew it was a loop of energy. Whatever house she had been in before, that probably was her bedroom, and it was a loop of energy.
She doesn't see you.
Whereas
Spirits
it's a,
see you and talk to you.
well, and spirit's different again. So when you start seeing loops of energy, and you step away sometimes to get away from it, well, you tell a doctor that.
Yeah. Good luck.
There's some medication. So there is a fine line, though. There's a fine line between mental health and the psychic world. Would anybody agree with that?
Yeah, I think the medical system needs to kind of catch up with that, and I don't know how that's going to happen. But it's kind of like why we're doing this and why we're talking about it and why we're putting the film out there, so that other people, might be in the same situation. And to anyone who's hearing this, it could very well be that you are very psychic and very clairvoyant, and this is what happens. How you
this is my experience.
Yeah, your experience. Like, everyone's is different.
Yeah, you feel. So when you actually start to understand that this is reality and that there are things called the clairs, which I have written here,
clairaudience, clairsentient.
Clairvoyant, and clairvoyant, of course, is the seeing. Now, it's not just seeing the spirit outside that's there. When you work with mediumship, it starts to become, it's in your thought, it's in your mind. And so where the third eye, they talk about the third eye, it's not actually right there.
It's in the pituitary.
Yeah, and it's in the pineal gland.
Pineal.
Which apparently, you can Google this, and I would like better information to speak better on that, but it has very much the same as what an eye has. And so you actually, that's where you see. So when you're doing your mediumship often, they flash a photo or something in that space, and you get a sense that it's different. When you're doing intuition, that's your gut. The gut feeling is intuition. We all have our gut feeling, yes? You go with your gut. Do you go with your gut? You go with your heart. This one here is all about the heart, yes? Yes. So often, most people, we have the gut feeling, that's intuition. So that's sort of where it starts. And then you learn your clairs. And then it comes to mediumship. And then there's trance mediumship. And these are all levels of degrees of how you learn. And then you start learning about numerology and astrology, and and then there's shamanic. Oh my gosh, that's an incredible thing as well.
You can keep going with that and so on.
It's huge. So let's bring it down.
What is trance mediumship exactly?
That is when you go into meditation,
Yeah.
and that's at a lot of times where you can set out healing. That's where you can feel your guides can come through.
In a different dimension?
Well, well, that terminology is just so loose now that because of everything. It's a sacred space within self. It's altered state. Would you call it that?
Yeah.
Altered state. Altered state. And that's incredible. It's an incredible experience. I mean, there are people that actually can, that's when the voice comes through. Well, I guess I've done that, so.
Yeah.
But the voice, a change of voice comes through. But they actually can, ectoplasm shows up, and then the actual physical person, your grandma, your mom, your lover, they appear. When this happens, people have seen it. Hopefully one day I will have that opportunity to witness that with my own eyes. I trust it. I trust it. And I have an incredible community of family of mediums that are I've schooled with, that I've worked with, who I love very much. So I've witnessed and seen some different things. I've received a lot of messages.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a fine line again of when you're healthy to take a message and when you're not.
Okay.
So I've had recently a lovely message. I had just gone shopping and I had this dress I was looking at. I sent a picture to my future daughter-in-law and I made a joke about in 23 months I could wear this to your wedding, blah, blah, blah. So medium the next day he gets up there and he starts talking about this pink dress.
This is at your church?
Yes, at my church. He starts talking about a pink dress. He says it has my pink dress, and I knew exactly what he's talking about. But the thing is, my mom had that exact same dress.
Oh.
It's the dress she wore for her 50th anniversary. It's the dress that we buried her in. And that's what drew me to this dress, was that. So, but I've also received a message after my dog had died. And I had sent him off to spirit in the most incredible way. It was the most loving experience ever after 17 years. On the heels of a loving friend who had gone missing, and I had to hand a hairbrush over for her DNA. And so that happened, and I was in a place where I wanted to run away. This person did run away, and then my dog passes away, and all within 2 days.
So you're not in the right space to help anyone.
No, and so I go to church and I get a message. and the message was about pearl, the missing pearl, and I had chosen a pearl urn for the dog, and I knew what she was trying to say, but my mother was showing her a string of pearls because that's how the medium was able to get that message to me. So then, of course, the next day, I'm like, string of pearls, so I Googled string of pearls, and then it was the number 42 came up. Oh, I lived in number 42, my house was selling. So then it was like 42 pearls, and then I saw these two symbols of two C's back to back, and that was the initials of my dog and my friend, and I was just like, oh my gosh, and then they were $1,000 and $1,200, and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to buy these pearls. That's the message. Mom told me to buy pearls. So I'm like, oh, if I had the money, I'd Google, I'd do the pearls, and I'm like, oh, I can't find it. Then I find another thing. It's $5,000 for this pearl. Those were a good deal, $1,200 for pearls. I'm going back. I'm like, gotta find these $1,200 pearls, and then I click on it, and it says the 40404 error, and then it goes to Etsy. And then it comes up a beautiful, just let me finish, a beautiful picture of a sunset and the words, you know the beauty of an ending when you watch a sunset. It calmed me down. I was going to buy $1,200 pearls because I thought that's the insanity of when we're unwell and receive a message.
Wow.
That was my experience of that.
Wow.
Yes. So when you're giving messages, it's a good idea when you're in a more healthier state.
Yeah,
right?
It's about emotion.
But when you sit in a private reading, that's when you can help with the healing, and you can help process that out and actually come to that.
Yeah, and before, we stepped out and we grounded and we, invoked a divine help and your guides and so on, and it's a process. Yeah.
That's a process.
It's like getting lost otherwise. Makes sense?
And there's anxiety. I mean, when you have, I don't know any medium, I don't think I've met one that doesn't experience anxiety. Have you? That's part of who we are. That's part of it. Yeah. Because we feel so much. We're turtles without a shell. We're sensitives. And our families, and it goes back from my family, generations, tea leaf readers, and found out that we're Irish tinkers.
What's an Irish tinker?
What's an Irish tinker? They were the travelers. They were the travelers through.
Okay.
Yeah, they were, and then they said they're like the gypsy. They traveled all through the thing.
And now you have several guides too, right?
I do have 4 that I'm aware of.
That you drew this one.
Yes.
And actually, she had drawn that. Can we talk about this one?
Sure.
And how you had this experience, and then when we went to, I went to see her church and have to hear a guest medium come in, and she talked about this guide. It was amazing to me.
Yeah, because I told you this story.
Yeah.
So it was just before Remembrance Day, and I had an incredible experience at a party where I had just been dancing, and somebody said they had seen me on the stage, and I watched everybody on the stage, and then later they said I was on the stage when I wasn't. And apparently that's some kind of trance. What's that called? Anyways, I'm sorry. So that next week, I wanted to understand what happened because I didn't know that a person could do that. And do you know what it's called? Astral travel? Something like that?
Oh, astral travel.
Yeah, that you project yourself.
And
You project yourself. People, everybody had their back to me. They're watching the stage, and then later they all were coming up to. I didn't know what had happened. And then my friend said, "Oh, he saw you dancing up on stage," and I'm like, was it? But apparently it was, because I was dancing behind everybody, but I guess, I'm not sure how that works, and I can't even begin to tell you what kind of trance that was about. But what happened after is that I was at the church, and I wanted to understand what happened to me, and then I went outside and went for a walk. And then as I was walking, I got very, 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 very tall. very tall, like very tall.
You felt that way.
I just felt I was like tall and straight and just, I could see things from higher up and I was like, oh, this is new. And even a dog walked by and was like looking up and I felt like I was a soldier or something, and I'm like, who is this, who am I? And then I see a street and it was Major and Kelly, and so I called this person Major Kelly, and then of course later I Googled who that might have been. I came in and I talked to a very good friend now, but just getting to know him then, and what that was about, and this was a guy. It felt like I was like, I kept saying I felt like I was 8 or 10 feet tall. And
your hands were bigger.
And my hands were bigger. And so over time I did healings and stuff, and that's when I felt my hands get bigger. And I started joking that I used to wear a tiara as a crown, and then now my crown has gotten bigger. Right? So it's like Miss America crown now. And so there's this joke about this, I feel this heavy crown on my head, and then anyways, this medium, she says, oh, she was incredible. And she said, I have a guy here for you, and he's 10 foot tall, and he's got this headdress on, and all this stuff. And she described his hands and said, oh my goodness, when he sits with you, your face must get so tight. And it was all very, very good evidence of explaining these
like,
things.
My jaw was dropping in the back of my
Oh, because you were there. That was so cool that she was there to hear her say that. This woman is from England, and I've never met her before.
Yeah.
So there's all different kinds of very interesting things. And now when I've done healing, there's a lot of prayers, and it's just the distant healing, and then there's remote viewing, and there's just, it just goes on and on. There's just so many things that I don't even know how to bring it back down to.
Okay. So one question might be, you may have already answered this, but what was the most bizarre experience you had regarding your skills?
Okay, well, I have so many stories, but this one was incredible. I was sitting in a backyard looking after friends, three chihuahuas and my dog, and I was just sitting in the sun, and that's why I just felt that sun today. I was just sitting there, and I felt this cord to this boy, this man, and so did you not understand when you're connected to somebody how it feels like a silver cord? Anybody know that?
People tell me, but I've never felt that. Really.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, I felt like it was like a steel cord, and then I could just sense that it was more of a ribbon and stuff, and I was just so serene, and I was laying there, and I've been trying to learn how to meditate and breathe, and I was struggling always with the breath, and I was quiet, and then all of a sudden a pigeon lands on me, lands right on my chest, and I'm just sitting quiet, and it walks over, and it presses on a spot here that releases your lungs. It's an acupuncture play, and I was just like, and I could breathe. And then it walked over and it went on this side, and I could breathe. I wish I could breathe like that again. It just would open this breath, and I just sat there. I didn't open my eyes. I just experienced it. I was just living in that moment. And even my dog, my American Eskimo, he came up and he was just at my hand with the bird on me. Like it was just, he didn't bark or anything, none of the dogs, it was bizarre. So then I heard the little dogs, then it flew away. Oh no, it pruned my neck or something. It was just like, and my chest, and it was just a bizarre experience. So I go in the house, I get water, the dogs want water, and then I lay on my stomach, and I want to get a healing because I had a bad shoulder and my back was bugging me. And I had experienced healing since 1980 from a spiritual medium for 18 years. Mm-hmm. And so she taught me some stuff, and so I was doing that. And then I got up again, we had some more water, and then I sat down and I just wanted to be quiet, and I sat, and I had my hands like this, which was weird. I've never done that before. And then if that bird didn't land on top of my head, what? It landed on my head, and it pressed so hard. My spine, I just felt like it was just going right deep into my back, and I'm like, this is so painful. Why what's happening here? And I just allowed it. I just was so curious. I allowed it, and then it came up and it touched my forehead. It's close. And then I felt this light. I saw it inside a light just go straight up my spine, up as far as it could, and I saw this waving of grass and slowly people coming forward. And it was every person I knew who had passed away.
Oh my God.
Every single one. It was my mom and my friend and it was everybody. But the weird part was my brother was in the very back, who isn't passed away. He's sitting right here. But he was standing with my uncle and my grandparents, and it was every single person, and they all had something to say to me. But there was somebody I didn't know. I'd never seen that person before, and they were standing beside my boyfriend at the time's mother, who had passed, and she was wearing a dress that I had seen a photograph of her in. And the lady beside her kept shrinking and going bigger and shrinking and back and forth and changing her dress and looking at it and changing her dress. And I didn't understand what was happening because I never experienced that. And then I looked around to see, oh, my mother-in-law's not. Where's my mother-in-law? And she comes in and she just gives me this look and she's like, there you go. And my dad, he was down and he said, I'm sorry. And it was just an unbelievable experience. But then the mother came up to me and she said, I know you love my son, and she just gave me some words of advice. She said, learn and teach, honey. Learn and teach, learn and teach. And then she comes back and she says, tell my husband it's more glorious than we ever expected it or even thought that it was. And it changed me. It changed me. I was like,
oh my God.
Do I get a pet pigeon? Like, what do you do?
I want to see that pigeon again.
It was like the most unbelievable experience. And so afterwards I talked to him and about this woman, and it was his grandmother. And that was the first person that I really saw. And so that was what's that called, enlightenment, or what is that? It's awakening or something.
That's an awakening.
That was a new version.
You know, pigeons are, the gray ones are actually, they're all doves. They're doves. They call the white ones doves. Just so you know, they're actually a gray dove.
Right.
They're doves.
Yeah.
So I like that symbolism a little better than a pigeon.
Well, I was laying there looking up, and there was the biggest bird I'd ever seen in my life. It was so far in the sky, and its wings were, and somebody said it was probably a crane. Right? Crane.
Yeah.
Way up and up.
Yeah.
Never seen anything so much like it in my life. It was the most incredible experience. That was an incredible experience.
Wow.
So yeah, you share that with your doctor?
Yeah, maybe discernment. But would be a good word here. But how old were you when that happened?
3 years ago.
That was 3 years ago. You didn't share that with me? No. You did?
No. No, because I had just come out of the hospital. I had just been told I don't have the diagnosis that they had given me for 14 years, and I was off all my medications.
Yeah.
Because they misdiagnosed it.
Oh,
The doctor actually came to me and said, Kursty, you're a sensitive. You just feel and see the world differently than others. You're not bipolar.
Oh my God.
They give you a new diagnosis, though, of
What?
course. They have to. They
Well,
just give you a different one.
Who cares?
Sensitive, though, we'll use that word.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But that happens. And of course, the anxiety is real. And you do, and my depression is from grief. Grief is, I have had grief. I've lost so many people to the disease of alcoholism and drugs, and of course cancer, and different ailments.
A lifetime of that, I just couldn't imagine. So I think you're very brave.
Well, thank you.
And I think that, what you do in the world is actually helping a lot of people. And, just to remember that and, stay close to your friends. And, we're all going to be okay,
In my process of when I do reading, there's the intuition, there's working with cards, there's mediumship, and it's evidential mediumship. But when I do private sitting, usually I explain about mediumship, and for me, evidential medium, I have gentlemen stand to the left and ladies to the right, because women are always right. I ask people that are friends, I ask them to stand at the back. I often have men stand to the
back. Or the
no,
right?
they'll stand to the right, and they were generally like always right. Like if your grandfather was here, he probably was always right. Is that correct? Yeah, your grandfather. Do you have a grandfather in spirit?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't.
You didn't know him?
I don't know.
You don't know your grandfather?
They passed away.
Yes. So you have a grandfather in spirit?
Passed away. Yes.
Passed away? Okay. So you want a different word. What word would you like rather than spirit? You don't know? Okay. If I was to describe a gentleman to you, would you be able to tell me if it was your grandfather or not?
Sure.
If your grandfather was here, would you want to hear from him?
Sure.
Would you be comfortable with sharing that, and would you want the camera on or off? You won't be in the camera, but the message might be.
That's fine.
Would that be fine? Yes? So just a yes or no or I understand is great, because that helps me link with your family member. And although I've asked the gentleman to stand to this side, this gentleman is standing on the right. Did you know your grandfather?
Not really.
Not very well. Okay. It's hard when you're trying to give them his thing.
If you don't know, that's
I'm just curious as to why he would stand on the right when I just said ladies stand on the right, because normally that means that he says he was always right. And the gentleman that I have here would be all in white. He's standing all in white. Does that make sense to you that he would be in white? Yes? And that he actually lived long enough to have his beard grow quite long. Is that correct? Yes, thank you very much. And he wore wrap his very, very long hair up in the turban. Is that correct? Yes, thank you very much. And he he was kind of a bit of a holy man himself. He's saying he was a very spiritual gentleman. Is that correct?
I didn't know him.
Do you know of him that he was a very spiritual person?
From what I know of my dad,
Yes.
I think so.
So from what your dad has told you, he is a spiritual person. Okay, thank you. He just wants you to remind you that he is a very spiritual person. Thank you very much, sir. He is actually smiling very, very big, and he's incredibly proud of you and the achievement you have just gone through recently. Have you just finished a school course or something? Have you just recently graduated for something or finished a course of some kind?
I'm taking this heart resonance course with Susan.
Nice.
I've taken level 3 now.
wow. Oh my
I don't know what that is, but
with Susan Turner?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't-
She was one of my guests.
oh, okay. So he's saying he's very pleased with how well you're doing with that, and that he's very encouraging of you to do that.
Wow.
Do you go for the walks? Do you go for walks in the woods? Do you like the forest bathing to go the walks? And when you're walking, do you often feel there's like a love that sort of comes, like a love of something? There's this incredible love feeling that happens. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's this personal, just joy of love. And he wants you to know that he is there in that moment. He is there with you in that moment and adding to that for you, because you are such a beautiful heart, sweetheart. You just have so much to give so many people. he wants to honor you and love you and just keep going for the walks. And if you want to talk to him, he would happily talk to you in a book if you want to channel or whatever you want to do. If you want to look into doing that, the automatic writing, or that he'd love to work with you on that because he enjoys you so very, very much. honey. He really does. And something about your dad and drinking beer, the little cups of beer. Do you know what he's talking about? A recent family function, and they didn't have like normal beer or something. They had to put them in little cups, or people only had a little bit. Are you aware of this at all? Okay. He's just talking about that, how they only need a little bit. You'd only need a little bit. And that they were celebrating whatever the celebration, and he does show up for all those celebrations. Yes. So can I leave that with you, my love?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh my goodness, isn't that happened? Woo!
Yeah.
It does feel good when you get that connection. Thank you. Oh my. Okay.
Sometimes you need a voice to connect to, right?
You need a voice, or you just see what happens for me when I know it's the person. What's really cool is the skin. It goes completely perfect, and there's no wrinkle, no line, no blemish,
On the
nothing
person
on the person you're getting a reading from. They just glow like the lady behind you. She's glowing right now herself. Yes. Yes, you. Yes. May I come to you, please? Okay, thank you very much. Well, I have a gentleman on this side who does listen to what they're told. I feel this is father. Is father in spirit, please? Did you have a grandfather? Is it your grandfather that was like a father to you? Or perhaps a father-in-law? Father-in-law. Your father-in-law is in spirit. Thank you. But he felt very much like a father to you, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to describe this person, and then let's see if it is that man, okay? He is showing me with brunette hair. He is showing me he does have a bit of a bang right now. I was a barber, so they always show me their hair. Always show me their hair. And that it was more of a rounded cut. It wasn't necessarily tapered up the back or anything, like a little bit longer. Yes, is that correct? Thank you very much. He's trying to decide what to wear. Did he always try to do that? Was he always trying to figure out what the right outfit was for certain functions? So what would he wear to come to see his beautiful daughter-in-law? And he's saying the name Rebecca. Do you know the name Rebecca? Or Becca? No, thank you. Does anybody? Okay, I'm going to let that go. Thank you very much. So okay, thank you, sir. So he is sure. Was he like 5'6"? Because I'm not sure if I got the numbers back for it, but he wasn't a very tall man, was he?
He was pretty tall if it's my father.
So was it? Okay. I shouldn't be asking that questions. I should just know. I'm going to let that go. Are you 5'6" now? Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. I don't know why. Why would that matter about being 5'6"? Isn't that funny? You never know what they're going to say, aren't you? We never know what's going to happen. Were you somewhere recently where you measured yourself, or you were measuring the kids or something? He's just showing me this. I don't know. Where they go through the 7-Eleven door and you look and you can see how tall you are. Who knows? Who knows why they say the things they do? Okay, thank you, sir. Oh my gosh. He's actually really, really funny. And it's your laugh he wants to hear. Do you laugh quite often?
Not as much as I should.
Not as much as you have in the past, because you have quite an infectious, loving laugh. So he really wants. You enjoyed the laugh with him, correct? You guys used to have some really lovely talks together, and he just wants you to know that he is remembering that with you and thanks you for all those times, because he had some times that weren't so great. Well, that's kind of a normal statement, isn't it? We all have some not so great life, but some of us have more of a blessed life than others. You have never had for want. You've always been taken care of. There's always been a roof over your head, food on the table, more food in the fridge. Not that you throw a lot of food away. You're not a waster. You say that you're very smart at what you do with how you put the food together, and you quite liked your cobbler. He's saying the word cobbler. Do you know that word cobbler?
That was my mom.
Your mom. Was it a peach cobbler, please?
Rhubarb.
Rhubarb, because I was, okay, thank you, but he's saying cobbler. So, so yes, he is like, he would very much like to have that.
Come and smell it.
And what else do you have to say? Oh my goodness, he's just so lovely. He truly is a lovely, gentle. He was more of a gentle heart, wasn't he? He wasn't brass he was a very gentle heart, gentleman. And his passing came quite sudden, is that correct? Yes, thank you. He's saying he was there and then he wasn't. He goes, I was there and I wasn't, but I was, and I could see everybody and I knew what was happening, and I was like, hello, I'm right here. And you knew that. You knew he was around. You know when he's with you, don't you? Yes. Yes, he says you do know when I'm with you. So, how lovely is that? And he just so enjoys it. So, can Mom still make rhubarb cobbler, or is that you that need to make it? But yeah, maybe just for an honoring, you could, if you wanted to. And I'd leave that with you, my dear. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I know you're waiting for somebody, and you called for them to come with you. Is that correct?
Oh, do you see somebody beside me?
Yes.
I know it's like having a camera on me all the time.
They're right beside you, and then I feel it's a female energy. Is that correct? Or are you aware of who it is?
I'm not sure. I know there's somebody.
So can I come to you?
Sure.
What I'm seeing is a beautiful woman with red long hair. Would you know who that is?
I know somebody with red hair.
Yes. Is she in spirit, or is this person?
Yeah, but
She's still living?
yeah.
Okay, because they're talking about a woman with the long red hair. So they're just showing me an image of the woman with the long red hair. Yes, thank you very much. Am I allowed to talk about this?
Sure.
Okay. So, okay, well, anyways, they're talking about, this sounds like a mother. Is your mother in spirit by any chance?
No.
Okay. But she was, your mother was always very encouraging of you with the ladies. Was she? Was your mom, was she that kind of mom that would say, I know a girl over here, and she's... If it isn't true, just say no. You don't
No.
have to, huh? No? Okay. Who is this lady? If she's standing by him, she's not standing by me.
Okay.
She's right there.
What does she look like? Sometimes just an energy.
Well, you do feel she watches over you, this,
Yeah, the presence.
yeah, this presence.
Maybe you don't.
Yeah, I can only know what they tell me.
Yeah.
They're showing me these cards as self-care. How are you at that? Because I feel that they're wanting you to have some self-care, some quiet time, some reflective time right now. That there is some decisions coming up for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Unknown
And-
decisions.
Pardon me?
Unknown. But
Yes,
there is,
that there's decisions coming
Yes.
up. Yes, and I understand the unknown decisions. And just staying, living in the moment, in the present, in the time, enjoying what you can right now, of getting into nature. And I don't know if you live in this area or not, but whether you even, you like looking at the ocean, but it's not like I'm going to hang out at the beach, and it's not your thing.
I love coming down here.
Like to see it.
Yes.
But it's not to go into the water and go swimming. That's to look at the magnificence of it all, but not necessarily to go into the water itself and that. And do you take photographs, sir? They're showing you taking photographs.
Lots.
Now, you're very good at this, yes? They're beautiful photographs, I can see them. And it's not just the big vastness, you will take it of the tiniest little thing as well, is that correct? Yes. Have you thought of doing your own? Have you done it yet?
No.
Oh, it's time, it's coming. There's very much support for you to do this art show of your photographs. And you have quite a large group of people in spirit, is that correct? Do you, both parents are in spirit?
My mother is.
Mom is?
Yes.
The father's not? Or, okay, then we just leave that go. But grandparents and aunts and uncles, are they all in spirit? Yeah, so what I'm saying is you have this, I feel like you have 20 people here in spirit. Friends, family, friends of friends, people who have watched over you, like if you were like in a foster care situation or something. Were you in foster care?
No, no.
But in that kind of thing around that, like friends that probably were. And just say no if I'm on the wrong link. I could be wrong on that, but I'm just saying there's a lot of people here for you and support you. And yes, I do feel like this is an actual guide that is a teacher for you to help you to achieve these amazing photographs. I'm really excited to see. Please invite me when you do this. I encourage you. I mean, you have free will. Do whatever you want. Of course, you're like yourself. You've had some struggles in life for sure. You've had some heartbreaks, but you've always been provided for. Yes, there's always been a meal on the table. Even when there wasn't a meal on the table, there was always something there. Do you understand? Just say no.
Just trying to interpret what you're saying.
What I'm saying. Okay. Am I going too fast?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. I get very excited. Thank you for slowing me down. You haven't always been of want. You've been provided for, even if it's just in the smallest amount.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
I take care of myself.
Yeah. So there's, yeah. So some of us go through different challenges in life, but you're always satisfied with what you have. How does does that sound better?
Absolutely.
Very satisfied with what you have. Don't need the mansion, don't need the like that's not necessary. You have what you have enough, you don't go over the top. Your love is for nature and experience and life. Thank you very much. You are very loved. I want you to know that. I think your mom likes this dress. She was a shopper, is that correct?
Purple's the color, yes.
She keeps slipping into here. She was small enough to fit into this dress, wasn't she? She would have been small enough to fit into this dress?
Probably 14.
Well, of course, our spirits are young and we don't have to worry about weight back then. But she is quite happy to try this dress on. So, of course, in spirit, they both could fit in there at the same time because, you know. Is it your grandmother you'd like to come through, if I could describe her to you? Sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I have here is these two women are actually kind of giggly, and they wouldn't have been that way here. Their communication wasn't always the best, mother and daughter. Is that correct? Yes. They want you to know that they're quite enjoying themselves and they're giggling. Does that make sense to you?
Mother and daughter, yes. I didn't remember the daughter. She is in spirit.
Right. You didn't know, what daughter are you talking about?
I would say that's my grandmother's daughter.
Daughter, which is your mother or your aunt?
My aunt.
Right, okay. And your mother is here. Your mother's in spirit. Your mother's here.
Sorry. My grandmother is in spirit.
Right.
My mother is present.
Mother's present. And so the two that are giggling are your aunt and your grandmother. Thank you very much. And you didn't know your aunt. I just want to get this clear. I need it clear so that I'm not getting mixed messages. So normally I could know that, but it's okay. Thank you. Okay. So Grandma, I want to describe her to you. Even though she's showing me with white curls and that she did do the perming of the hair and everything, that you knew her at that stage, is that correct? When she went through that time where the women did all that?
Yes.
She actually was brunette, is that correct, in her youth? Thank you, because she wants you to know she's a brunette. They're so funny. They're so funny about their hair. They're so, I'm sorry guys, to me I just find it hilarious that they talk about their hair. Anyways, and she's quite the dish. And she went through the phase of the gloves and the hats and yeah, in her day of her youth. I'm talking probably 40s, 50s would have been her
Yes.
younger days. The Jackie Kennedy look, the 60s, that, you know, she loved all of that. She loved the fashion, she loved that. I was actually trying on one of those pill hats. I'm like, who is going to be with me tomorrow that would wear one of those pill hats? That probably was Grandma. Okay, so she's she says she baked and cooked, but that wasn't her favorite thing to do. Is that correct? Did you know that about her? That she cooked to cook, she baked to bake, but it wasn't her passion.
That's right.
Yeah, it wasn't her passion. And although she was very good at it, she was very good at everything. She was good at everything she did, wasn't she? She was quite good, but she didn't. It didn't. Yeah, it was what you did. That wasn't passion. The art is your passion, and you're the same about food. You like to cook, you like to eat, you know, but it's not. You do it because you do it. We do it. Some of us bake, some of us cook because we have passion for it, right? I believe this lady back here, maybe she would have enjoyed the passion of cooking. No passion? Thank you for saying no, I appreciate that. That's an honest answer, madam. So what do you have to say, Grandma? Well, she wants to thank you for asking her today. She's showing me an angel food cake. The whipping cream with the berries. You know what I'm talking about, angel food cake? Yes? Yes.
Exactly.
She wants to give you an angel food cake.
Happy birthday, Kate.
Oh, happy birthday.
Is it today?
No, that's what she did.
Oh. Nice.
Oh my gosh, what beautiful evidence is that. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you so much. Can I leave that with you, sir?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, isn't that amazing? May I come to you?
Yes, yeah, you can.
Thank you. This person definitely has Irish heritage.
Okay,
So is this father's side?
yes,
Okay, thank you. I feel this is aunt.
okay,
I feel this is an aunt. Do you have an Aunt Betty by any chance?
no,
Okay, thank you. So I don't know who Betty is. A Betty Boot, Betty, it's a Betty. What is it? Oh, was this a nurse in England by any chance?
it is not making sense.
Okay, thank you. Because that's what a Betty, does anybody know Betty, the English Bettys, the nurses in the World War, that they've ever been told that? Anybody here? An English Betty?
No, I think,
Huh?
that's cool, that's interesting,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, I just, okay. Thank you. We're getting a mix over here.
Okay.
Does this make sense to you? Does this make sense to you, the things I'm saying?
The word Betty makes sense to me.
Right, and the nursing?
I'm not sure about the nursing.
Thank you. And England?
Not sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll table that, we'll leave that for now. with
Yeah.
you right now?
Yeah.
Because I think that that is emotional for both of us, and it might come
Right.
back. Okay, because I keep hearing Betty.
Kursty, that may be me.
Betty?
An aunt who was a nurse
Nurse.
in England
In England,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
during the Second World War.
Okay, and did you know that they were called Nurse Bettys?
No,
Okay. I hope I'm right on that, because I think I read that somewhere one time and I thought that. Okay, thank you. So she was a nurse in the World War, okay. And in England, thank you very much. And I don't feel she moved to Canada. Did she stay? Did she stay in England? She moved here.
yeah,
Okay, but not during wartime. It came later. Yes.
yes.
Later in life. Thank you. Because she's showing me this another dish. I love it when they call themselves a dish. They get kind of sexy and stuff. I'm like, it's quite a dish, you know. Do you know the movie Calendar Girls?
Yes,
Yes?
yes.
Okay, thank you. I watched it yesterday.
Is that why you brought the CD? I was trying to figure
Oh.
out why
Yeah,
you
it's the
brought
last movie I won, and it said I was to bring this. So you are connected, like you know this movie.
Yes.
Yes, and of
Yeah.
course you understand the sunflowers from the movie.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. And do you remember what they said about the sunflower? How that poem that he wrote? Has
No,
anybody
I
else
don't.
seen this movie?
a long time ago.
Have you seen the movie? Oh, you have. And he writes the poem, right? About the flower, the sunflower.
I don't remember.
Oh,
Oh,
how they moved to the sun.
they move,
I
they follow
remember
the
that,
sun.
yeah.
They're a very spiritual flower. It is the flower of the spiritualist church, and they are very, and it was just funny because I had already done them up, and then I watched this movie, and it had sunflowers in it, and I'm like, oh, I better pay attention. There's something going on with this movie. Okay, thank you. So, and of course, that movie was done in England. Yes, right. So, and you have affiliation to somebody who's passed with leukemia. Is that correct?
Possibly, I'm not sure.
Okay. There was just a correlation with that, so I'm just going to let that go. Okay. Let's talk about Auntie here. So she's saying she was quite a dish, but in her later years she kind of gloomed down a bit. Is that correct?
A little bit, not much.
No, but she was, and then yeah.
Yes.
And you know, we all have body shame, and we all want to be. And yeah, so she's saying that again, and that it wasn't the cookies. Does that make sense to you? That
I
she
think
would
so,
say
sure.
that
Yeah.
It wasn't the cookies.
Yes.
Everybody said it's the cookies. It wasn't the cookies. She said. It was that I sat on my butt all the time. Was she later like a secretary or something? That she's showing me that or is this you? Are you the one that's sitting doing this?
That could be me.
Yeah, okay, she's showing me this and sitting, doing this a lot, and that's you?
That could be
On the
me.
computer?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So, and you know that term, the secretary spread? Does anybody know that term?
Yes.
Have you heard that what that means? It just means somebody who sits for a long periods of time, and then they're big. So she's laughing about that. She's just not saying you have that, but she's talking about that secretary spread. And that's a joke you have with some of your friends maybe or something?
Oh, in my family, sure.
Yeah, within the family, yeah. Because not everybody, well, some people didn't even know what that meant, but you understand what that means. So
Yes.
thank you. That's a funny piece of evidence.
Mhm.
Secretaries. You just never know what they're going to say, do you? You just never know. Oh my gosh. What do you want to say? Thank you for taking this message from that you felt that it was for you. I really appreciate that. And she's talking about angels. Are you a big fan of angels and the whole angel thing?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that because some people are into different things, but you're definitely an angel fan of, and not just the TV show Angel with David Boreanaz. No.
No, nothing, nothing like that.
No, actual angels.
Yeah.
And you feel the presence of them. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They're very, very tall.
Yes.
Correct? And you've actually seen through your mind's eye, you've actually, or is it meditation that you see them, or how, whatever that is, they're just saying that they're around you, and that you're very connected to that realm,
yes.
angelic realm. And thank you for your service on that. You give back a lot, more than you know. I want you to know that. And keep doing what you're doing. Keep moving forward with that. With helping. Do you understand what they're saying?
I think so, yes.
With helping. Helping the people that not everybody felt comfortable helping. Is that correct? Do you
Yes.
understand what they're saying?
Yes,
That
yes.
you help people that others aren't comfortable helping. And that you are a friend. You are the friend that people turn to. You are that person. Yes? No? Just tell me.
Lynda's nodding, so I guess I'd say
Yeah,
yes.
she's a friend of mine, so yeah,
Oh, okay.
I do turn to her.
Okay, you are that person, you know, and you are so loved by so many. You have, it's overwhelming for me, this love that is coming through you.
Aw.
It is in abundance. And that is your abundance of joy and love to give to others. It's not about money for you. It's never been about the money. You get another person's always provided for, always have a roof over your head and be able to feed the mouths of other people. There's food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just, you don't think poor, you just have a wonderful life, and you're very blessed, and you give so much. But you know how to give back, you know how to hold yourself, right? You know how not, like, where the boundaries are. Gosh, do a talk, hit her. Do a talk about that. I don't have boundaries, I just keep giving and giving. That's a lovely quality to have.
No, thank you.
And just know, I thank you. I
Oh,
thank you for bringing these beautiful people and for you and for doing this. Thank you so much.
oh, thanks,
Super
Kirsty.
kind.
That's nice.
Super kind. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think she has private things she wants to say to you.
Really?
Not so much.
Okay.
I think she's a little bit more private.
Okay.
She's a nurse. It's more of a private thing, right? Like, it's
Oh,
more
okay.
consultation, one-on-one. Wow, what I'm feeling is my crown chakra is just like opening up like this. You have an innate ability of bringing in, you do meditations, is that correct? And you know how to open up your crown.
I haven't meditated recently, but
Do you know the feeling when you're in meditation and you go through your chakras? You do the chakra meditations?
no,
Okay.
but
But you open up to, and you pray, right?
Yep.
And you're very connected
Yep.
with the source above. So you have different language for that. I'm not even sure I used the right
no,
language
it's
there.
okay, but
But you understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I've experienced all of the four at some point.
Yeah. So you're in your own development as well right now? Yeah. And you're doing very well.
Mm.
You know, you are doing very well. Wow, because that's a really, so do you feel the band around your head? Do you feel that?
No.
Is there anybody here that feels that band around their head?
On and on.
Feels like a band. Can I try this? Yeah. Yeah, because, is that about the heaviness of it?
Sometimes more.
More than that?
Sometimes more.
You want to feel like what, this is the best thing I've found to feel like what it feels like. That's the crown. Is that about right? Did you say?
Yeah.
That's the crown area right there. That's what it feels like, right in that area.
Kind of tinkling.
It tingles.
When you know, when that happens.
And when you witness a friend who shows how they open it, you can actually see the static. It's very cool. Do you have something, it's talking, the prayer in this one is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference Show me what I need to better serve your will and in the world, and with guidance forward, with clarity, discernment, honesty, and love. Show me only a reflection of the truth. Amen. In love and light we pray. I say this with honor and gratitude. You've been asking for a prayer, is that correct? Are you asking for guidance from a guide? So when you're sitting, when you sit and you learn this, are you aware of presence of something else? Are you aware of that?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Is this something you want to know more about?
Yeah.
So with that, where's your, I'm sorry I'm asking you so many questions. You're a person that likes to ask a lot of questions, am I correct?
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
very much.
that's so
Thank
true.
you.
That is so true.
I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
very
So basically I've just been you, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you. So that's what's happening here. Okay, so you're a person that likes to ask lots of
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, that's very, very true.
And you find the answers.
I don't know.
And do you take the lead of like synchronicities and angel numbers
Yeah.
and Google anything you see repetitively? You're like, okay, what is that? I keep seeing that number over and over and over
Uh-huh.
again. And you Google it
Yeah.
to learn what it is.
Yeah.
You go, oh, thank you, there's a message
Yeah.
here.
True seeker, I love it.
Truth seeker.
Yeah, no, I do a lot of that.
Yeah,
yes.
and then if you see the feathers, you check that out and count them and things. Is that
I
correct?
haven't seen feathers, but
Oh, so you
but I
haven't.
do like to check out any experiences that I've had
That's synchronicity. And you drive, yes?
Mm-hmm.
It's not your favorite thing to do, though. They're saying it's not your favorite thing to do.
No, I wouldn't- I
It's just a function. Some
Yeah.
people love to drive.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't, yeah.
You
I-
love to drive, yes, sir? Yes, you love to drive. This man loves to drive, and you enjoy driving, do you, sir? Yes. And you, ma'am, you like to be a passenger. But you drive to get where you're going.
Mhm,
It's not like you get in a car and say, Sunday drive, okay, we're going,
mhm.
somewhere.
Okay, yeah, that's
You
true.
have a destination
Sure.
and you're going somewhere. Whereas you like to just, we're driving, we're gonna go somewhere and on an adventure, and you just like to go check out different types of restaurants and different types of little things, like you just kind of drive and yes, yes, no?
Here and there.
Huh?
Yeah, drive wherever.
Yeah, where, whatever. Because we're all different, right? But yeah, so when you're driving, you're quite aware of the other drivers.
I don't know how to answer that. I don't know. I'm just driving.
So you're not aware of the other drivers? Or do you feel like you're in your own zone? Everybody experiences.
I don't know how to answer that. I'm just driving. I'm just aware of other people, you know.
You just go.
I don't
You
know.
just drive.
I'm not spaced out. I'm not overly aware. I feel like I'm just medium.
Yeah, you just go, you get there, and you
Yeah.
got there, and sometimes you're like, I don't even know how I got here, because you drift off for a few minutes sometimes. It's natural, that's not bad, that's not saying anything bad, but that happens. I'm not sure you drift off all the time though, do you, when you're driving? No, no, and you're always drifting off, so whether you're driving or not, you're drifting off. This is a daydreamer, am I correct, sir? Are you a daydreamer?
I'm an artist. So I
Yeah,
just
the
use
dream,
the
the world's the dream. So we're all different, right? We're all very different. I think maybe a private question, Erin, would only be good for you to sit in and have, because you have so many questions that, yeah.
Would you be okay with that, talking to them privately?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah, because I know I have people here,
Oh, okay.
but they're shy.
Oh,
Because you're not the shy one in the family, am I correct? In that knowledge, you're not as shy as.
in the spiritual stuff?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I'm not shy, but.
you're not shy, but there are family members who are on the other side and here
Mm-hmm.
that are very private and very shy about that
Yeah.
kind of communication.
Sure. Yes.
So if I had mothers and spirits, is that correct?
My mother?
Yeah, is your
No.
mother's grandmother?
Yes.
Okay, grandmother would not have been able to come.
Which side?
Hmm?
Which side? Father or
Oh,
mother?
paternal, would that be father's mother? Paternal, is that right?
Paternal?
It's father's mother,
My father's, okay, yeah.
is that correct?
Okay.
So she would not have been a person that would have gone to a medium or
Oh,
been
no,
able to
no.
communicate with somebody. So she wants to, but she's still learning on the other side.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
That she's actually realizing what this is all about. And so you have no idea how much effort and work this is, because they're a higher
For
vibration.
them.
They have to lower their vibration to talk to us. We have to higher our vibration to communicate with them. They have to use the medium, find the right medium, to give them the symbols and things that I would understand to be able to communicate with that person. So they often find the right medium that's experienced similar things so that they can do that. And it's just a huge, huge, huge thing. So what she's saying is, honey, I'm going to go learn how to do this and come
Oh,
back
I
and
see.
talk to you. Does
Okay.
that make sense that she would do that?
Well, that generation,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
Yeah.
that's what she's,
sure.
and she'd be really shy to do it in front of other people. That she would come more on a private conversation with you. Wouldn't be like you were sitting, like she wouldn't talk to you at a house dinner and you were sitting there and she was sitting here. She wouldn't have been calling out to you across the room. If you were sitting here, she would have had a conversation with you.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, does that make
Okay,
sense to you?
yes, that does.
Okay, so she would rather you were sitting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so much love. She's nervous, so I wanted to give that to you.
Thank you very much.